Hello everyone, welcome back to the course of Object-Oriented Analysis and Design. This video is brought to you by Newton's Group of Institutions. This is Arvind Egireddy from Department of CSE. In this video, I'll be talking about interactions in basic behavior modeling. In this video, we will discuss about interactions, its terms and concepts, and modeling techniques. In our next video, we will discuss about interaction diagrams. Coming to interactions, an interaction is a behavior that is composed of set of messages exchanged among set of objects within a context to accomplish a particular purpose. So it can be a class, an operation, classifier, system or subsystem. So here a message is a specification of collaboration between the objects that convey the information with the expectation that these activities will ensue. So here a message specifies the communication between the objects for any activity to happen, and it has the following parts. It has its name, parameters and sequence number. So here in this figure you can see that it is having messages, links and sequencing. So we have a sequence number, we have the message, we have link, and this link is between the objects. So an object is an interaction that can be of concrete things. So or it can be a prototypical things. So here I mean concrete things which represent something in the real world, and prototypical things are any instance of a person like a professional. So in UML, the dynamic aspects of a system can be modeled using interactions, and we said that these interactions contains messages that are exchanged between the objects. So here a message can be an invocation of a operation or an signal, and this message may also include creation and destructions of other objects. So graphically a message is rendered as a directed line. So here you can see the directed line. So graphically this message is rendered as a directed line with the name of its operation, like what we have seen in this figure. So the objects that participate in any interaction are either concrete things or prototypical things. So as a concrete thing, an object represents something in the real world, and for example here P is an instance of the class flight plan. Now coming to links, a link is a semantic connection among objects, and in general a link is an instance of an association, like what is being seen in this particular figure. So whenever a class has an association to an other class, there might be a link between the instance of the two classes, like the top figure what we see. Here this link can be between the objects. So whenever there is a link between the two objects, one object can send a message to an other object. So here if it is between the classes we have an association, and if it is between the objects we can send the message. So a link specifies a path along which one object can dispatch a message to an other object. So most of the time it is sufficient to specify that such a path exists. If you need to be more precise about how that path exists, then we can add on the appropriate end with the following constraints. The first one is association. This association specifies that the corresponding object is visible by association. And the second one is self. This specifies that the corresponding object is visible because it is a dispatcher of the operator. And the third one is global, which specifies that the corresponding object is visible because it is an enclosing scope. And the fourth one is local, which specifies that the corresponding object is visible because it is an local scope. And the last one and the fifth one is parameter. So here the parameter specifies that the corresponding object is visible because it is an parameter. Now coming to messages, here a message is a specification of the communication among the objects that conveys the information with the expectation that the activity will succeed. So the receipt of a message instance may be considered as an instance of an event. When a message is passed, the actions that result in the executable statement that forms an abstraction of a computational procedure. So an action may result in a change of a state. In UML, we can model several kinds of actions. So here we can see several kinds of actions like create, call, return, destroy, send. All these are the different actions. So the first one is call. So here what call will do? The call will invoke an operation on an object, and an object may send a message to itself, resulting in the local invocation of an operation. And the second one is return. So the return will return the value to the caller. So when we call, when the caller calls the call, the callee what will do? He will return the value to the caller which is calling it. Then we can send. So we can send signals to an object. Then the fourth one is create. We can create new objects. And the fifth one is to destroy. So destroy destroys an object, and an object may commit suicide by destroying itself. So we can destroy, or it can be destroy by itself. Now coming to the sequencing, when an object passes a message to another object, the receiving object might in turn send messages to an other object, which might send a message to at a different object, and so on. So this stream of messages form a sequence. So we can define sequence as a stream of messages. So this stream of messages form a sequence, and so we can define sequence as a stream of message. So here any sequence must have a beginning. So the start of every sequence is associated with some process, or it can be a thread. So here, to model the sequence of a message, we can explicitly represent the order of the message relative to the start of the sequence by prefixing the message with a sequence number set apart by a colon separator. So here there are two types of flow of controls. One is nested flow of control and the other one is flat flow of control. So here a procedural or a nested flow of control is rendered by using a solid arrowhead. Okay. Whereas in a flat flow of control is rendered by using a stick arrow overhead. So you can see the difference clearly, that this is having an solid arrowhead and this is having an stick arrowhead. So we can distinguish one flow of control from another by prefixing the messages sequence number with the name of the process or thread that sits at the root of the sequence. And not only the arrow, so here if you can see that sequence number, so here in the nested flow of control or the procedural, You can see the sequence number as 2, 2.1, 2.2 like that, along with a solid arrowhead. Whereas in flat flow of control, the sequence number will be 1, 2, and the arrow will be an sticky arrowhead. So, more complex forms of sequencing such as iterations, branching, and guarded messages can be modeled in the UML. Now, creating modification and destruction of links. So these are being enabled by adding the following constraints to the elements. One is a new, destroy, and transient. So here new specifies that the instance or the link is created during the execution of the enclosing interaction, and destroyed specifies that the instance or the link is destroyed prior to completion of execution of the enclosing interaction, and transient specifies that the instance of the link is created during the execution of the enclosing interaction but is destroyed before completion of the execution. So here the representation of the interactions. When we model an interaction, we typically include both objects and messages. So we can visualize those objects and messages involved in an interaction in two ways. One is by emphasizing the time ordering of the messages, and the second one by emphasizing the structural organization of the objects that send and receive the messages. So in UML, the first kind of representation is called as sequencing diagram, and the second kind of representation is called as an collaboration diagram. So both sequencing and collaboration diagrams are known as interaction diagrams, which we will discuss in our next video. So these sequencing diagrams and collaboration diagrams are isomorphic. So the meaning of isomorphism is that we can take one of the transformation it into another without the loss of information. So sequencing diagram lets us to model the lifeline of an object. So here an object's lifeline represents the existence of the object at a particular time, whereas the collaboration diagram lets us to model the structural links that may exist among the objects in an interaction. Now, let us see the modeling flow of control. So to model a flow of control, we need to set the context for the interaction, whether it is a system as a whole, a class, or an individual operation. And we need to set the stages for the interaction by identifying which objects play a role. Then we need to set their initial properties, and we need to include their attribute values, its state and role. If we need to model emphasizes the structural organization of these objects, we need to identify the links that connect them. We need to see the relevant paths for communication that takes place in the interaction to specify the nature of the links using the UML standard stereotypes and constraints as necessary. So here in time order, we specify the messages that pass from object to objects as necessary and distinguish the different kinds of messages, including parameters and return values to convey the necessary details of this interaction. Also, to convey the necessary details of these interactions, we adorn each object at every moment in time with its state and role. So let us consider an example of publish and subscribe mechanism using sequence and collaboration diagram. So this is an sequence diagram and this is an collaboration diagram. So in sequence diagram, we are going to use by flow of control by time, whereas in collaboration diagram, flow of control by organization. So here, in this particular figure, shows the flow of control by time, which is set of objects that interact in the context of publish and subscribe mechanism. Whereas in this particular picture, the flow of control by organization is shown for the same context given here in the figure 6. So here we have stock code subscriber, stock code publisher, and stock code subscriber 2. So here the interactions are happening, or the flow is happening, one in an sequential diagram and the other one is collaboration diagram, which we are going to discuss in our next video. Thank you. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for the latest notifications.